Hi. Today we're going to talk about how to declutter your home in 7 days. First, I'm going to share a story of a home transformation and how that went. Then, I'm going to share quite a few tips on how to declutter your home in 7 days. And then, lastly, I'm going to share some ways to help part with things if you're having a hard time. So, that might be helpful at the end there. I wanted to share a home transformation. Many times we do small sessions, but sometimes we get to do a home transformation, which I love because it means we do all the appointments together in a row. So it's usually like 2 or 3 people, organizers, going to your home every day for a week, 2 weeks, sometimes even into 3 weeks to complete the whole home. Because it's a big project, right? We have thousands and thousands of items. So I'm just thinking of one that we did last fall. It doesn't feel like that long ago. But it was wonderful. And we kind of started in the basement, which was also the home office. We found things that were 10 years old. So that means that the items hadn't been moved in 10 years. And it was a place where someone was working 5 days a week, trying to create new business and doing their work. So that was huge. And we did the other side of the basement, which was like the laundry and, just kind of that home repair stuff that ends up there, hardware, paint, those kinds of items. And then we moved upstairs. We did the hall closet. We did the main family bathroom. We did the wardrobe, which was huge. The client said she would spin around in the closet because she had so much open space. So getting things off the floor and getting them put away so they were accessible. And then moving into the teenage kids' rooms, which were disasters, but we cleaned those up. Found some interesting items from the kitchen, from the kids having snacks in their rooms. And we finished off we did the garage, which was significant, and then we finished off, they actually had a kitchen home remodel at the same time, so that was pretty exciting because at the beginning we decluttered and packed it up, and then at the very end, the final session, we were putting items away in the kitchen, and it was just beautiful, new countertops, new backsplash, new pantry cabinets, and it was a lot of fun to put those items away and just make it really nice for them. So I think, she felt like it was totally worth it. It is an investment, but I think it's life-changing on the level of a home renovation or a vacation. And so just keeping that in mind, it's not going to be something that happens overnight. But changing your home like that in 7 days, it's going to be huge. It's going to affect your life every day. So I would encourage you to undertake this challenge. So that being said, I think you want to be realistic about it. I would anticipate several hours a day. And I'm sort of assuming an average American home, and I know that could mean anything from like 1,000-foot square foot apartment to a 5,000 square foot home, right? And everything in between is probably sort of like average. But we've seen a lot of homes. Usually, I'm in Greater Cleveland, so not usually in apartments. Sometimes we are, but more often in freestanding homes, single family homes. That's like what we see the most often. And I would anticipate several hours. So I would suggest breaking it into sections that you want to cover, right? Because a lot of homes have these different spaces or rooms, potentially rooms. If not rooms, you probably have these different spaces. So I was thinking, how would I do it? And I broke it up into the 7 spaces. So I'd suggest bathroom for the first day, bedroom for the second day, clothing. So I made clothing separate from the bedroom. So, bedroom would be like sleeping areas, nightstands, anything on the floor. I would do clothing and shoes and clothing separately on its own day because people usually have so much volume in clothing that it's like that has to be its own category. Moving now into some of the more shared spaces, kitchen That would be a day. Living room, or kind of the space where you hang out the most. And then closets. Maybe for the next one, I'm thinking linen closet, I'm thinking front hall closet, sort of any of those spaces where things are building up. And then for the seventh day, I said bonus space. I think that's where different homes, is it the playroom? Is it the home office? Is it, some people have like a rec room or the garage that needs work. It's sort of like, where's that other space? And I'm sure, depending on the size of your home, just depending on the number of family members, you may have more spaces. But I think that would be a pretty solid 7-day declutter if you can do that. Bathroom, bedroom, clothing, kitchen, living room, closets, bonus space. Okay, and a little bit more about why I put those in that order. The bathroom and the bedroom, I'm thinking less sentimental items. Those usually end up in the storage areas and are appropriate for storage areas. So try to pick someplace easier. If those areas are very difficult for you, if you're, we had someone not too long ago, they said, I love skincare products. That might be a difficult place for them to start. So start on something easy and that's just yours, especially if you live with other people. And then after you've had some successes, some easy wins, then you want to move into the more difficult areas, clothing, and then into the more common areas, kitchen, living room, maybe closets, where you're interacting with other people and maybe you're trying to work with them on decluttering together. The best advice I have if you are living with multiple people is to delineate space. So you're on this decluttering journey, you're getting organized. They may not be, right? And I know it's frustrating. I know that's difficult and challenging. It is. Also, you can say like, okay, here's my shelf and I'm going to make it just the way I want it. And here's your shelf. And if your shelf is crammed full of things because that's the way you want it, then that's your choice. And that's fine, right? And as you find another person's stuff out, you also politely can return it to their areas. So you would have different areas that belong to them, and then you're just returning their items to those areas. It's a little bit of an aside. What's the method? Okay, so now we have the game plan, right? You've got your 7, 1 per day areas that you're going to work on. The suggested method for this, I would say, is the 5 things method. And this is out of the How to Keep House While Drowning book, which I love. It's a great book. So everything there in every room, there's only 5 things. Garbage. So you grab a trash bag and start by collecting any garbage you see. Clothing. Maybe grab a laundry basket or however you gather clothing. Gather up all the soft things. Take them to the laundry room. Don't do them. Don't get distracted by doing laundry, right? That's a whole nother beast. But gather up all those soft things that you're keeping, get them to the laundry room. Then dishes, right? So if you eat in all these areas or any areas that you do eat in, there can be dishes. So gather those things, return them to the kitchen. Now you're down to only 2 categories out of 5. Things with homes and things without homes. So if you have stuff that has a home, put it away, right? If it has a home, put it away. And if it doesn't have a home, that's where you're creating a home for it. These sometimes are the 2 most difficult because what happens is volume. So you might say, like here's a pen right here. I have a home for pens. It's right there. Here's my home for pens. But if it's spilling out of the container, like, yes, you have a home for the pens, but there's a volume problem. And so that's where, in that moment, you want to reduce. How to reduce, start by pulling them out, put away favorites first, or get rid of least favorites. And you've got to reduce the volume till it fits in that home. So that's the thing where I think people get really tied up. Once you have a home for everything and it fits in that space, it's really easy to clean up. I'm talking literal seconds. In my bathroom, I have a get ready basket, and it's a plastic basket bin, and I have all the stuff that I use every day. And even I was looking in there last night, even in that basket, and at night, because it's like my toothbrush, my toothpaste, the makeup that I wear every day, eye drops for allergies, things like that. Even in that, I see things in there that I'm not using every day that I could take out of that basket. So when you have something like that, even if I am in a hurry, I left my makeup on the counter, I left my toothbrush on the counter, my toothpaste, it takes 10 seconds. And I'm not even joking about that. 10 seconds for me to, I know where those go, and I'm shoving them in the basket and putting it under the counter. So even if, we are messy, we're in a hurry, we're busy, whatever, I don't feel like cleaning up after myself. If you have that home and it's easy to put things away, it's so fast that you can do that reset as soon as you're ready to do it. So I had mentioned several hours a day. I do think if you are already decluttering, if you've done this before, you might be able to work a little faster. And then also different people are different, right? Like some people have different sort of paces at life. Some people are faster. Some people are slower decision makers. But again, I would make sure you give yourself enough time. We're professionals. I would like a kitchen that will take our organizer between 3 to 6 hours. We're going through every cupboard. Maybe you don't need to go through every cupboard, but I think sometimes people underestimate how long it takes, and especially if there is a lot of volume, which usually people who are worried about decluttering are worried about it because there is a lot of volume of items. And so I think in that sense, sometimes people underestimate the time. And I don't want to scare you by saying this. In other areas, it can be a lot faster than you think it's going to be. People will procrastinate, and it can be really fast. But whole house top to bottom is ambitious. I think that's what I want to say. So, and don't be hard on yourself if you don't get it done. I have decluttered my entire home. I've never done it in 7 days. That is really fast. It's really fast. Unless you're on spring break, taking the week off work, have nothing else to do. It's fast. Okay, so another thing you want to do to prepare is you want to pre-identify an easy donation place where you can take most of your things. Sometimes people get stuck in the trap of finding the perfect home for items. So this is what you're doing with the items that need to leave your home. They need to exit your home. You don't want them. Especially if you have a lot of volume, your goal is to get all the volume out. And so if you get too caught up in finding the perfect home, that becomes the bottleneck. So if you are only donating a few things, say you're doing the 7-day purge, declutter, reset, and then after that, you have a small amount of things to get out. That's when you can, Facebook and find the exact perfect home and, I'm looking for a charity that supports women and blah, blah, blah. You can really narrow it down. But when you have bags and bags and bags of stuff, select a place that's good enough. A church, a local charity, something that is easy to get to, can accept the amount of volume that you have, and is good enough. And just allow that to be enough. Honestly, from doing this for years, there's so much volume in the secondhand market. It's okay. For every bag that you take to this charity, someone else is taking a bag to that charity. It's all evening out. And a lot of the smaller ones, honestly, when I do try to call them, I had a great closet clean out, and I called a woman that I know runs a very small charity, a teen closet for girls in Cleveland. I was like, hey, I have this great closet clean out. And she's like, we can only take one bag. People can, the volume is so much. So just allow it to be good enough. Sometimes people get caught up selling items as well. And if you're a garage saler and Saturday is the garage sale and we're doing this 7-day purge and then it's out, great, good for you. Otherwise, again, with the volume, you're trying to get a lot of items out. I would recommend only trying to sell items that are at least $50 or more. Because these $5, $10 knickknacks around your home, lot of 10-year-old boy t-shirts, it gets annoying. People are flaky. They say they're coming. They don't show up. They try to offer you less money. They're not happy with it. I love selling stuff if it's worth it. Furniture, bicycles, bigger items where you're gonna, it's worth it to have 3 people flake out on you, but you're still making some money, So I would just really let the little stuff go. Okay, if you're sort of moving along, decluttering, you're on your space, you're focused on that space, don't move all over the house, kind of try to really get zeroed in. Today we're working on the living room. Get work done in the living room. Definitely check the floor, because I feel like a lot of overflow is floor tucked away behind to the corners. Kind of try to pull all that out and work on it. The other thing is, if you are not sure what to do next, just try to switch gears a little bit. If you're working away in the living room, and then this happens all the time, even with professional organizers, you kind of come to a moment, it's just not clear what should happen next. Great. Go get a drink of water, get your granola bar, make sure you're refreshed. Great. Take out the trash, maybe run the donation bag to your car, maybe turn, okay, can I work on this cabinet over here a little bit? And return to that. A lot of times, as you continue working, things become more clear. I'm thinking of a client yesterday, 2 days ago, that I was working with in their home, and we started opening a moving box that had been there for 5 years, right? So it's not that important, or it's sentimental, right? Because they haven't used it in 5 years. They had never unpacked that box. And it was ugh, that client was oh, I don't even want to deal with this. I was okay, close it up. So we closed that up, continued working on other areas. And then after lunch, he was ready. Opened the box up, addressed it. We were able to get rid of stuff and organize. It just was ready. So it is challenging. Don't be hard on yourself. You're doing your best. Just take a small break. Don't give up. Take a small break, 5 minutes. Turn to a different corner of the room. Work there a little bit. Come back to it. If you just sort of change gears, a lot of times it's going to come clear what you need to do next. If you're decluttering your whole home in 7 days, I would just encourage you not to get too sucked into tiny organizing, teeny tiny sorting, things like that. There are different personality styles. Clutterbug, if you look that up, there's different clutter. She has personality styles, and they're named for Ladybug and the Busy Bee. So you can take a little quiz. You can see what style you are. But what part of it is, do you hidden storage, or do you transparent storage, right? Some people are if I can't see it, I forget about it. Other people are that's too much visual clutter. I want it to be hidden. I want it to be closed away so I don't have to look at anything. So, that can be helpful to you as you're going. But also the other two, so there's 4 categories, right? 4 personality styles. The other axis that people fall on one side or the other is, do they like big categories or tiny categories, right? Do I want, okay, here's a bin and I throw all my medications in. That's a big category. Then other people want small categories, here's my morning meds. Here's my sometimes medications. Here's my medications when I go on vacation. That's a small category, and you're sorting smaller and smaller. So I would just encourage you to go with bigger sorts, fewer categories if you're trying to declutter your home in 7 days. Because you can get really lost in sorting into tiny, sometimes I say on the phone to clients, we're not going to sort every paper clip, but that's part of time management, right? If you're sorting every paper clip, if you have a lot of volume, if you have a lot of clutter, you're probably missing some big areas. So stay focused on the big things. Volume, volume, volume. I think I keep saying that. Really focus on lowering the inventory. And when I was starting off organizing both my own home, really more my own home because I wasn't doing this by the time I was helping others, but little mantras can be really helpful. Two that I would say, what do I use every day? What do I use every day? So as you're walking around, just like chanting that to yourself, what do I use every day? Do I use this every day? What do I use every day? That's going to help you with this decision making, right? Another one is lower the inventory. If you're feeling stressed, and I'm guessing you're feeling stressed, that's why you're here, that's why you want to declutter, that's why you want to do it in 7 days. You are feeling a little overwhelmed, stressed, maybe even significant feelings of shame or embarrassment or guilt. Very common, not warranted, but very common. Just think about lowering the inventory. How can I lower the inventory? How can I lower the inventory? And just keep asking yourself that over and over as you move through the items that are in your home. I think I mentioned lowering the volume the way that you're doing it, putting away your most favorites, and or getting rid of least favorites. That wording is important because when you start off decluttering, the easy wins, it's like, oh, that's broken. Oh, that has a hole in it. It's easy. It's trash. I don't want it anyway. Later on, we have so much volume in our homes that later on what happens is to have a nice place the way you want it to be, often people are having to consider getting rid of or letting go of items that are in perfectly good condition and that they like, right? I bought this because I like it and it's in good shape, and that makes it much harder to let things go, right? It's not broken. And I think it's cute. That's why I bought it, right? So that's why it's like, I understand that these are all your favorites, and also you only have room for 15 mugs in this kitchen, right? So either you want to get rid of drinking glasses in favor of 30 mugs, or we're going to get rid of least favorites. They're wonderful mugs, but can we donate them to someone else or box them up for storage? But I love donating better because if it's in your storage space, it just is sort of passing it off for another date. It's still going to have to get addressed. Can we get rid of least favorites until it fits? So letting your space tell you how much to keep. If you're having a hard time, hopefully I've already given some tips on what to do if you're having a hard time parting with things. But some other specific tips are, I love in Marie Kondo's book, she says, thank it for its service, right? So just reminding yourself and the item, you bought it for a need, for a purpose, for an intention, and thank you for that service. And, it's no longer needed for whatever reason, right? And maybe the intention was there and you didn't use it, or you did use it for a long time. But now, today, at present, you no longer need it. So just thank it for the service and then letting it go. Another idea is setting a timer for 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long time, a few minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then kind of revisiting that same item. What happens is 10 minutes later, if you say, oh, okay, what about this item? I don't really want to get rid of that, but I know I should. Okay, let's put it over here. 10 minutes later, the person's not even thinking about it. They've probably forgotten it completely. And that's part of why you want to start with easier areas and move to more difficult items and areas, because what happens is you probably have not experienced much decluttering. And as you make decisions, let things go, and don't regret them, don't think about them ever again, you gain more confidence to make more decisions and let go of more things. So setting that timer, you're going to be like, oh, I don't even care about that thing that 10 minutes ago I was really stressed about getting rid of. Take a picture, kind of keep the picture, but let the item go. Hey, these were my favorite jeans. I wore them all through college, I don't fit in them anymore. They were great, many fond memories. Take that picture, send them off to someone else, to the as we mentioned, the charity where someone else can love them. Minimal Mom also, if she's a YouTuber, so maybe you know her, she also suggests a time will tell box. If you really, really are struggling, you can have basically a maybe box, and you want to put those maybe items in it and close it up, date it, and you'll see. You'll see in the next month, 2 months, do you think about anything in the box? If you do, go and get it. Otherwise, keep it closed up, and after a certain amount of time has passed, 3 months, 6 months, take it now to your charity. Don't open the box. Just take it to the charity. You haven't needed anything from it. So that's another sort of strategy if you're kind of struggling a little bit. I do always suggest exercising caution with those sentimental items. A yearbook, a wedding dress. Those items are irreplaceable, things from your grandmother. And so that's not the first thing you should be looking at. You should be waiting till, again, you're more confident in your decision making. And every home has some sentimental items. That is reasonable. Sometimes it's the volume. And a lot of times by the time people that we work with get rid of the non-sentimental items that are taking up a lot of space, those sentimental items are fine. It's not a big deal. It's just that everything is so much. That's why you got to lower the volume everywhere. I hope this helps. Put your comments. I'd love to hear if you declutter your home in 7 days. How did it go? Were these tips helpful? Any more tips that we should all know? Thank you. Have a great day.